We are only a few weeks away from the NFL season, and it's never too soon to be looking at the Draftkings slate in the Millionaire Maker. Let's go ahead, take a peek behind the curtain, and see what they have in store for us. What's up? My name's Bradley with Allaqcess Sports, and yes, we are looking at the Millionaire Maker slate for Draftkings Week 1. I know it's a couple of weeks away, but it's never too soon. This is going to help us with our research and see who we should be watching in the preseason as we go through those 3 games for most of these teams to kind of figure out where are some steals we can get on the slate. If you're not familiar with Week 1, it is going to have massive scores because pricing is already out, and some of these wide receiver 1s are priced like a wide receiver 3 for some of these teams. But most importantly, we're getting ahead of the competition, and it is a mind game to beat down your friends. Now, I certainly don't think this is the lineup that we're going to be putting together Week 1 and actually rolling into the Millionaire Maker with. As we take a little peek behind the curtain, we might be able to find some diamonds in the rough. This is our sleepers, studs, and stacks with Allaqcess Sports. If you're new to the channel and you've never been here before, I really appreciate you stopping by. If you like what you see, subscribe and drop a thumbs up or a comment on the video. This is not a heavily analytical show. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about this percentage of yards was given up to wide receiver 2s between weeks 2 and 7 on away games. We don't get into all that. I like to just kind of have a conversation with me and you. My wife is really my only real friend, and she doesn't like football, so I just need someone to talk to. So let's get into our sleeper studs and stacks. We look at those high value guys, those high price guys, and the best stacks that you can roll out Week 1. Some of these are going to be blatantly obvious, and then some of these are going to change. Some of these will change drastically as we get into the season. Starting with quarterback, it's way too soon to tell, but you're priced way up in a lot of these areas. But that might not be a problem. With wide receivers and some real steals that you can get at the wide receiver position, you might want to pay up for your quarterback. Lamar Jackson with a new offensive coordinator who wants to throw the ball more. Healthy Mark Andrews, you can't go wrong. Jalen Hurts, Fields against Green Bay. Joe Burrow, we'll have to see how bad that calf injury is. Jamar Chase says, bro, we got this. Chill out. Just hang out for a few weeks, come back, and then make a playoff push. Justin Herbert is an interesting one because without Jalen Ramsey, I really don't know who Miami has back there besides Xavier Howard. The Chargers have a lot of offensive weapons with Eckler, Williams, Keenan Allen, and now Quentin Johnson. All of these guys could be viable options right now against a Miami defense that we don't know what we're going to get. It's a good defense, but they're not going to be great right now. Same thing goes for Tua. This could be a very up and down game. There's some games that get a little screwy, and Miami seems to play a part in some of those. If you're looking to take advantage of a quarterback, pairing him up with a wide receiver that's probably off the radar a little bit in terms of a stack, Kirk Cousins could be your guy. The Buccaneers did struggle at times giving up big plays to big wide receivers, and that's exactly what the Minnesota Vikings do with Justin Jefferson. He is just going to be a volume hog, and I expect big things from them Week 1. Do I love it? No. Do I like it? Absolutely. Now you're down in an area that's really interesting because do you want to trust Russell Wilson against the Las Vegas Raiders? Week 1, Sean Payton, new coach, pair him up with Jerry Jeudy and Greg Dulcich. It's a lot of value. It's super cheap, and it will allow you to go out and get those guys like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, or Jamar Chase if Joe Burrow is healthy. Matthew Stafford in a kind of weird game. The Seattle Seahawks and Detroit Lions, it felt like last season we were just picking on those defenses all year. Not because they were bad, but they were just high-scoring affairs on both sides of the ball. Matt Stafford, don't love. Anthony Richardson against Jacksonville. I don't love this pricing. If there's a quarterback that I absolutely love right now, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence against the Indianapolis Colts. Trevor Lawrence has Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, maybe Zay Jones if you want to dig real deep, Travis Etienne, Dell in the backfield. There's a lot of weapons that he has to utilize going up against the Indianapolis Colts, who, number one, are not very good, missing their best offensive weapon. Jags are going to have the ball a lot in this game. I'm hoping not for that, and I'm hoping for one of these ceiling games, a 31 and a 36. As always, our goal is to get 4 times our points per $1,000 spent. So if it's a $6,000 player, I'm hoping to get 24 points. You have $50,000 in your wallet. If you're able to get to 200 points, you should be cashing every single week. Now, maybe not week 1 because points are all over the board. Most weeks, 200 points, you should be cashing fairly easily. We're going to go ahead and put in Trevor Lawrence, and since I need to pair him up with a wide receiver, come on. We're finding Calvin Ridley at 6,500. He looks like a tank in camp. Also, if you're just now noticing the Taco Bell hat, no, they're not a sponsor. I just think it looks good. And looking at the wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, I already mentioned it. I really like his matchup. I think that's a good spot for him. Cooper Kupp, got to watch the health issues. Tyreek Hill. There's reports in camp that he's not looking as fast and that there doesn't seem to be as good of a connection. I don't hold that to be true. I think Tyreek Hill is a freak athlete. He's going to be fine. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, we've talked about that already. Devontae Adams, not sure what that quarterback situation is with Jimmy Garoppolo. They say he's healthy. It looks okay. I just don't trust it until we see some preseason games, so it could change in time. A.J. Brown, I like. Keenan Allen, I love. Again, going up against Miami, who's only going to be having Xavier Howard right now. That's a real threat as a defensive back. Again, this isn't an analytical show. It's going to be opinionated conversation, baby. So if you're looking to pay up for a wide receiver, I think Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, probably Keenan Allen would be my top 3 guys on the high end. Sleepers and value plays, these are the guys that we see under $5,500, and there's a couple of really good names that I'm going to be paying attention to in the preseason to see what value I can get going into week 1. Deontay Johnson against San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco's a good team. I expect them to get ahead early. I think it forces Pittsburgh to throw the ball a little bit more than they're comfortable with, and seeing how many targets he gets, 10, 7, 7, 10, 8, 35, 40 targets over the last 5 weeks of the season, I'm happy with that. The problem is the touchdowns. 0. If he's able to break out of that slump and we see some trends in the preseason, I would be willing to take a stab at this at 5,300. Again, we're looking for 20 points. That's 6 catches, a touchdown, 50 yards. Puts him at 18, 19 points. I think Jahan Dotson is someone you have to pay attention to going up an absolutely terrible Arizona Cardinals team. It looks like an absolute clown show down there in Arizona. Washington is not great, but they do have a new offensive coordinator in Eric Bieniemy who knows a thing or two about having a really good offense. I think Sam Howell is better than most people anticipate. I don't think he's great like some people are associating him as. But he's good enough to get the job done. Over the last 5 games last year, I will absolutely take this. 9.6, 9.74 for a guy that's 5,000. Same thing as Deontay Johnson. I just need him to get 20 points, and he got close to that 3 out of 5 weeks, now going up against a terrible Arizona Cardinals team. Again, we can keep going for days with players under $5,500, but the last one that I want to take a look at and I'll be focusing in on through the preseason is, well, as a Panthers fan, my hometown guy. Baby Chark, baby Chark. He's not going to be a world beater. He's not going to have a 150-yard game. He's not probably going to have a 120-yard game. But he's going up against Atlanta, who does have a revamped defense, but it's not a great defense. It's Bryce Young's first game. I think they try and take some deep throws. I think they try and take some deep threats. As the deep threat guy, if he gets 3 catches, 70 yards, 3 catches, 60 yards, that already puts him at 9 points for me. And at $3,900, I'm happy with that because that's 3.5 times his value already. Again, it depends on the preseason. We'll see how he is. How does that depth chart shake out? Is it Thielen, then Chark as his number 1, number 2 option? Or is it going to be completely spread the ball with Hayden Hurst, Terrace Marshall Jr., Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, Laviska Shenault? You don't really care. You're not a Panthers fan. Let's just move. Again, as a little bit of a homer, I'm going to put DJ Chark in there for now. Willing to change to a lot of guys that are in the same range. And by that, I mean Donovan Peoples-Jones, big play threat. Zay Flowers, could he be the number 1 option? He's the human joystick apparently in preseason. We'll have to see how that shakes out behind Odell Beckham, Mark Andrews, and Rashad Bateman, and everyone else that they have there. That is the next big thing. We're almost always a plug-and-play Christian McCaffrey lineup here. In double ups and 50-50, I like to play 3 running backs, but in the bigger tournaments, I like to play with 4 wide receivers. I think running backs typically have a higher floor. Wide receivers can be that big boom or bust play, and that's just kind of how I prefer to play. You play how you want. McCaffrey in a really good spot. Austin Eckler should be in a decent spot. I think Bijan Robinson at this point is a wait and see for me. In camp, he is taking a lot of snaps in various places across the field. I don't trust Desmond Ridder one bit to have that team flowing on offense. We'll have to see how things shake out between Tyler Algier or Algier, whatever his name is, and Bijan Robinson before I make a selection. But $8,000 is a big pill to swallow, especially when I have guys like Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, even Joe Mixon. I know what kind of things I can expect out of them week 1 without having to bite the bullet at $8,000. I would be more comfortable taking him probably at $6,800 for right now. A mid-tier guy that I'm really interested in would be Cam Akers against Seattle. Look at his last 4 or 5 games. We're not going to be the only ones on him. We're not the only ones that are hyping him up. But again, $6,200. If I got 20 points, I would be absolutely ecstatic. With the Seattle Seahawks probably preparing for the threat of Cooper Kupp, it's going to open things up for him. If I get 15 to 20 points from him, I'll be fine with that. But we do have big upside, especially around the goal line. It gets choked up, bottlenecked. You're not going to be throwing the ball as much. Cam Akers is going to be the guy they go to in the red zone. Miles Sanders, again, I'm not going to make the selection, but just know he's really high on my draft board right now, behind a really good offensive line. Deuce Staley, Thomas Brown, formerly of the Rams, they have an emphasis on the run right now. Miles Sanders should be getting involved plenty. We'll have to see how the regular season or the preseason actually shakes out. Khalil Herbert, interesting play. I think he's going to be Chicago's number one back. It's not going to be Johnson. It's not going to be Deontay Foreman. I think Khalil Herbert is that guy. Green Bay, we'll have to see how good or bad they are with Jordan Love. If they're decent, I'll probably be looking at Herbert. If they're bad, I'm definitely looking at Herbert. Antonio Gibson, again, Eric Bieniemy, new offensive coordinator there in Washington. It's worth a shot of having a pass-catching running back there. Jamal Williams, the starter against the Tennessee Titans week 1, more than likely with Alvin Kamara having a suspension. I think a lot of people are going to be on him, so just keep an eye on him. I don't plan on playing him, but a lot of people will. For now, though, we're just going to lock in Cam Akers, potentially Aaron Jones. Again, depending on how good that offense is, we'll go with Cam Akers. Najee Harris is another decent pick. He's going to have the volume, but it's a stout San Francisco defense. Tight end is a position for me that I almost always pay down for. I'm not usually putting in Kelsey, Kittle. It's just not who I am. I think you can get a lot of value down there. That might hurt me in the long run, but for a guy who just plays mainly 50-50s and double-ups, it works just fine. Logan Thomas, again, Eric Bieniemy going in there. Pay attention to how good and how used he is in the preseason. At $3,200, you're not going to be mad if he gets you 3 catches for 40 yards, right? 7 points at $3,000. You're not going to be upset. You're not going to take down the millions, but you're not going to be upset. I think Hayden Hurst is a really good pick at only $3,000. Again, in the preseason, he's getting heavily used by Bryce Young. We know how important tight ends were to Frank Reich's offense. Just something to consider and pay attention to. Evan Ingram, if we really wanted to triple stack Trevor Lawrence with Calvin Ridley, is worth a shot. Dalton Schultz. It'll be interesting to see how C.J. Stroud develops as a quarterback. Is he interested in throwing to a tight end? We don't know. Pat Freiermuth might lose some snaps to Darnell Washington, but people are also overreacting from the hype videos and 1 or 2 catches in camp. Someone that I'm interested in watching, though, is Cade Otton. I don't expect much out of this Bucs offense with Baker Mayfield, but more than likely Kyle Trask. I don't need you to get 12 catches for 150 yards. Just give me 5 grabs, 20 yards, 2 first downs, maybe a touchdown. I'd be thrilled. I'd be over the moon if I got 15 to 18 points out of Cade Otton. But even cheaper would be Hayden Hurst. I think it's more realistic that he sees a little bit of volume in this offense. Consistent in Cincinnati. Probably going to be consistent with the Carolina Panthers at $3,000. It doesn't hurt me one bit to take Hayden Hurst. Lastly, our defense. Now, week 1, we don't know what to expect. Injuries are going to completely change who we pick on defense. Right now, Ravens going up against Houston. I really like that. 49ers against Pittsburgh. I said I kind of like the Eagles going up against the New England Patriots. It's probably my favorite defensive play. Or the Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts. Why? I think the Jaguars put up a lot of points. I think whoever the quarterback is going to have to throw the ball to play catch up against the Jaguars, and they do get a lot of picks. I believe they had 13 last year in terms of interceptions. Yeah, 14 last year, 38 sacks. They're probably going to be able to pin their ears back, go get after the quarterback. And I think that's going to make Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew, whoever is the quarterback, really struggle week 1. Now, the ultimate value play is probably going to be the Commanders against Arizona. Again, Arizona is terrible. A team that had 43 sacks last year without Chase Young for some of the season. They're going to be just fine defensively, so $2,800 with Washington. I'll lean there for now just because it is a little bit cheaper. I think the best upside, though, is going to be that Jaguars team. There you have it. That is kind of our framework for how we're going to be starting week 1. If you want to take a look, let's just plug and play some of these more expensive guys and see what our wallet looks like. If you take Christian McCaffrey in the running back position, that's going to leave you $6,200 per player, wide receiver, and a flex remaining. If you want to look and just get 2 people in this range, you're looking at Mike Evans and DJ Moore, who could be having a good season. Chris Godwin, depends on how he looks. Mike Williams against Miami. We talked Xavier Howard is the only real defensive back that they have. Christian Kirk, if you want to triple stack that Jaguars offense, and that puts you at $5,600. So you'll be able to get someone in this range. DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett against the Rams. Jerry Jeudy, we talked about it. Sean Payton. first year coaching with the Broncos. I have not locked in and I have not saved my lineup, but know that there's going to be a lot of crazy scores week 1. Again, by no means have we settled on this lineup. It's going to change drastically by the time we get into week 1. And I want you to remember, the odds are in the favor of a guy playing 150 lineups. Again, I play a lot of single entry, 3 max lineup, and double ups. I'm just trying to win a little bit of money week after week after week. I'm an expecting father. I got diapers to buy, okay? I'm just looking for a little bit of fun money to win each and every week. And then hopefully we can compound that into something bigger by the end of the season. I appreciate you watching this video. We'll be back closer to the season with a more thorough sleeper studs and stacks in its more typical fashion. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you have social media, I'm there. Follow me. We'll be doing TikTok lives on NFL Sundays this season in the morning, just so we can prep for the NFL weekend. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. There's a million things you could be doing today, and you chose to spend a little bit of time with me. The giveaways will resume soon for all of you out there. I appreciate you watching. Take care. Good luck this season. Hopefully the next time that I see you is in another video and in the green.